Ladies and gentlemen, the next session will be about the cryptocurrency trend in South Korea. I believe this morning we have heard about the global perspective. So how about we learn a little bit experience of South Korea? Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome on stage Mr. Charles Yu. Welcome. Shall I say annyeonghaseyo?
안녕하세요.
Annyeonghaseyo. Okay, please enjoy.
Thank you very much. Wow, this is great. Good evening, everybody. How's everybody doing so far? All good? Yeah, a lot of technology information. I just heard from Don. Omisego, blockchain technology, disruption, great. But I'm going to be talking slightly different from what has happened in South Korea, because technology is one thing, but how this new technology has been treated in Korea is slightly different. Everybody is, oh, let's make money, let's buy Bitcoin, let's buy, Ethereum, let's buy Ripple, right? Okay, so a little bit about myself before I proceed. So my name is Charles. I am currently the CEO of the Bitcoin Center in Seoul. If you ever come to Korea, feel free to stop by, right? So a little bit about the center. It's just a community center. There's nothing really extravagant, but founded about 3 years ago. The founder is here in the room. I can introduce you to him later. And what we do, we incubate startups that are related to cryptocurrency or blockchain technology. So that's what we do. And also another thing what we also do is we educate the community about cryptocurrencies, right? So, I want to get into Bitcoin. How can I buy Bitcoin, right? How can I put Bitcoin in my wallet? So such educational information, we try to help the community understand better so that we don't lose out in this new revolution. All right, so like I mentioned, we incubate for anything that's Bitcoin and more, right? So we're not an exchange. A lot of people come to Seoul asking, oh, this is the Bitcoin Center, so can I sell Bitcoins, right? But we're not an exchange, just to clarify. So we're for the community. We like to incubate and provide more education about cryptos. So bridging the gap between users, developers, investors, and startups. So how do we do this? We have events on weekly basis, right? We have different kinds of events. We don't only have, investment talks. We don't only have, technology talks, but we also do other talks like, legal sessions. We have lawyers who understand cryptocurrencies come in, talk about it with other startups, other businesses in the industry, and so on and so forth. So on the screen are some examples we've had. We've talked about, how can blockchain disrupt industries in 2018. You've heard of like supply chain management, financial sector, and so on. So another one is cryptocurrencies and law. And another one is also with art. How can you connect blockchain with art? So a very robust category. So we're also part of a growing community, as well as there are other communities in South Korea riding the wave right now. There's like Crypto of Korea and there's Seoul Blockchain. They both do events and they also provide information to the community. I will not go into too much detail as it doesn't really relate. Other influences that have also grown because of the recent hype are shown here, like CoinSite. We have also Spunky here, and the blockchainers now called Studio Decentral. They all have quite a large number of following now. After, last year Bitcoin went up to what, $20,000, right? All right, so it's all good. Bitcoin going up, everything is great, but then we always hear in the news, I don't know if you'll have heard, there's Koreans are buying so much cryptocurrency, Korea's trade volume is so much, but why is that? All right, so let's take a little look into the market analysis. So this report was done by a lady by the name Peters. She compiled this data for us, and if you look at it, the US dollar, of course, has the highest trade volume, right? Going up to 48.39% of total market share. Another interesting one was Japanese yen traded for Bitcoin at 96.92%. So the highest Bitcoin altcoin ratio. This means 96.92% were all Bitcoin trading. None of them were, altcoins. These statistics you see right now are the Korean numbers, Korean won trading numbers. So Bitcoin against the Korean won is only 15.37% compared to US dollar of 48% in the previous slide. But altcoins is over 50%. World trading volume of altcoins is happening in South Korea right now. So this tells me that, in Korea, people are more interested in buying Go, for example, compared to Bitcoin, right? So I'm sure, does anyone not understand the difference between Bitcoin and altcoin? Just in case, right? So does Bitcoin and every other coin, we generally say altcoins. All right. So how did this come about? So why did Koreans decide that, all right, Bitcoin's okay, but I'll buy more altcoins, right? One of the reasons, if you were in cryptocurrency last year, China announced total ICO ban or Bitcoin ban. It happened maybe 5 or 6 times last year, right? And every time that happened, all the investment decided to channel through the neighboring countries, including Korea and Japan, right? So if you look back last year in number like trading volume, a lot of the Japanese exchanges, a lot of the Korean exchanges had huge amounts of surges, increases in trade volume from after China announced the ban. Not only the price dropped, but the trading volume increased in the vicinity. So that was one reason. And the second reason is, when Bitcoin, the price of Bitcoin was going up from 5,000 to 10,000, 10,000 to 15,000, and then 20,000. This started hitting the mainstream media in Korea so fast that almost everybody was buying cryptocurrencies. The #1 downloaded app in the Play Store was an exchange app. Even high school kids were downloading this app to trade, right? It was possible because there was no regulation. There's no regulation right now saying that, oh, no kids, right? Sorry, I won't say right now, at that time, right? So because of this, a lot of trading happened, a lot of money started coming into the industry. But another result of this is something called Kimchi Premium. Has anyone ever heard the term Kimchi Premium, right? So kimchi is signifying that it's Korea, right? We all like kimchi, I hope, right? And premium because the price of a coin in Korea was higher than any other place on the planet. And this was because of the hype. The way Forex works in Korea, it's very difficult to take money out of the country. It's the way the system has been designed. So what happens is money keeps coming in but does not go out. And all that money that comes in is buying all the cryptocurrencies and driving the price up. So Bitcoin's price can be $10,000 in the US, but in Korea, there's almost, at one point it was over 50% in difference, right? So at the center, we had people coming in and asking, can I sell Bitcoin? We're not an exchange, but everybody, so many people flying in from Hong Kong, Japan, Thailand. We had even from Australia, from the US, people were like, can I put money in my pocket and then come to you and then I'll sell Bitcoin to you, right? So many people did that like throughout the whole of December last year. So that's the Kimchi Premium. Right? So all this, everybody jumping onto the bandwagon. So not only trading happened last year. Korean ICOs, or Korean companies, looked at this as an opportunity and decided to also join and start their own ICOs, right? So here listed, the first one you see is Icon. I'm sure most of us have heard of Icon, the Korean Ethereum, right? So far, most successful. And then followed by Bosscoin, which is the first successful ICO ever held in Korea. And then Mediblock. Mediblock also had very high returns, even if they were a very low market cap. So the three successfully initiating an ICO led up to more ICOs. I will show you soon. As well as Korea also initiating a hard fork, right? So Micro Bitcoin is a little project in South Korea, not by the government, but a little team in Korea proceeding to carry on Satoshi's vision. So earlier I mentioned, like, you know, a lot of companies started coming up, a lot of ICOs started coming up, and this is a result. A whole page of different companies in different industries. This is actually drawn by an investment company called Foundation X in Korea. And if you look in the top left, we have about 7 investment companies. Hashed, namely, is very popular. And then other exchanges. Last year, exchanges grew from 5 in the beginning of the year to 18 by the end of the year. Right? Amongst that, an exchange called Upbit rose from basically nothing to the world's most traded exchange in less than a month. It's all because of that hype, right? And then in the bottom, in the middle, you will see all the ICOs. You have Mediblock, Icon, Emperor, Uno, and so on. And then on the right side are, you know, all the legal stuff, like law firms and so on. All right, so what does this all entail, right? So far, I've only mentioned, you know, all the good news and, you know, oh, great, so if I go to Korea, I do an ICO, it's going to go to the moon, right? But that's not the case, because why? You know, regulators are also looking at this, and they're not going to let all this money that's coming in just go like that, right? So I'm going to show you a little note of recent events that has happened in South Korea. I'm not going to go too far back because there's not been that much of significance compared to the past 6 months. So in September, there was a call in the media saying, oh, Korea totally bans ICOs. But this was just a rumor, right? It wasn't real news. But that was big enough to affect the industry. And then what happened after that is Bithumb had a falling out with their server, and it was impossible to trade Bitcoins. And at this time, it was after China had already announced their China ban on cryptocurrency and ICOs. And that just led to Bitcoin's drop in price. And after that, then the market started recovering again. Bitcoin goes up to $10,000. And then what happens? South Korea announced a task force for the cryptocurrency industry. And then more positive news coming out, right? Bitcoin goes to $20,000. Now everybody's coming to the Bitcoin Center, I want to sell Bitcoin, but nobody wants to buy Bitcoin at $20,000, right? And there's Kimchi Premium. We had people coming all over from the world just to sell their Bitcoins, right? I wish that could happen again. I'll be ready. So after all this, yes, the government started noticing, you know, stuff happening here and there. And then restrictions started to come in. So it was not direct regulation. There was no law saying, oh, you should do this, do that. However, the pressure started coming in indirectly, even, let's say, even through banks, through financial institutions. All right, you guys should really start controlling this. You know, you have high school kids taking all their pocket money and buying cryptocurrency, which doesn't really make sense because they should be studying, right? So there are cases like that. You know, there's money laundering. So the government urged to practice, you know your customer, anti-money laundering implementations, practices, right? And this was all done through exchanges. Even at one point, they stopped new user signups. They even stopped accepting foreigners, just because the amount of pressure the government was putting on. It's not visible, but indirectly, the results were showing that it's very difficult to sign up and it's very difficult to trade, right? Unless you are an existing customer. All right. So after that, slowly, until recently, they have been trying to catch all the illegal activities. So CEOs of exchanges like CoinNest, Upbit recently, have been called in, prosecuted maybe, or are under investigation because of fraudulent or embezzlement. So far, such events have been going on. And what is going to happen, right, is probably the next question. So far, I've talked about, cryptocurrency exchanges, cryptos, it's difficult to buy cryptos here and there. So what are some possible regulations that are in the works right now? So the other day, the G20 summit, they announced that, cryptocurrencies are assets. Korea is a member of the G20, but so far, the government has not announced anything official, right? So it's still pending, but there's still a high chance that it could possibly be considered as an asset. In Korea, the asset law is slightly tricky because if you're trading stocks, it's different from paying taxes on assets like land. If I own land, I'm paying different tax compared to owning stocks. And then regulation of cryptocurrency businesses, including, exchanges. So probably exchanges will have to prove that they have the underlying assets, the underlying capital to provide their services that they claim to be doing, right? And then updates to existing foreign exchange policies. So earlier I mentioned, it's very difficult to get money out of the country. It's easy to bring it in. So maybe, through regulating cryptocurrencies, it might be easier to remit cryptocurrencies from Korea and outside Korea as well. All right, so I hope so far I have given you a quick update on the situation in Korea. But if you have some questions, we have about a minute left, so I'll take some.
Yeah, so
questions,
anyone?
If anyone is
we
curious
can do
about
maybe
anything.
one quick questions for South Korea cryptocurrency. Anyone?
Great.
Or maybe you have done a wonderful session. So
All
big
right.
round of
Thank you
applause
very
for
much.
Charles Yu. Thank you. 감사합니다.
감사합니다.
Thank you very much. And that is some train from South Korea. I think soon, maybe in the next future, Charles, we might be able to do a collaboration soon in the future, maybe. So we'll expect that. And the next